So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charles Bennett, and today we have the pleasure of having a guest on my podcast, Reinvention, Benedicte Gérin. Welcome, Benedicte. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello,
Welcome to
Charles.
the podcast. It's a pleasure to see you. So, full disclosure, we have known each other for a few years. You're a person that I hold in high regard based on all the work that I've seen. I've been to some of your exhibits, and I felt that it was important for us to have a conversation just because I think your story is really powerful, and I think there are people out there who could really benefit for the fact that some of us don't always have the answers. And I felt today you may bring a level of clarification and maybe allow us to be more centered about where we need to go. So, to start off with, what I'd like to know, let's be clear, you are American and French. You've lived in France for, how long has it been?
More than 30 years now.
Wow, 30 years. And I want to think, how did this whole career trajectory start for you, for where you are today? How did it all begin?
Well, it started with a very difficult situation, actually. I used to work in the press. I used to be a photo editor in the press, and one day, this happens quite often in the press, I was thanked, remercié. So
Right.
goodbye, that when you a tissue that falls on the ground, it doesn't make any noise.
Right.
It doesn't. Nobody hears it. I felt like I was that tissue, and I thought. And I was very angry, very, very angry at how things turned out. So every day I would wake up and think, I don't want to work anymore. I'm so angry, I don't want to work anymore. And I really thought there was going to be a little light bulb one day in a corner of the room saying, boop, 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 idea, new idea. And it didn't happen that way.
And so where were you in? Where were you at in terms of your mindset?
Well, the thing is, I've been doing some calligraphy for a long time. I mean, I studied art. I was a model at one point, so I worked in fashion. I worked in the press. I was doing photo production, and when I was pregnant with Louise. I took up calligraphy. I started taking classes, and it was just such a discovery, such a pleasure to do some calligraphy. And I went along with that calligraphy for a long time, for many, many years. So it was always there. And when this event happened, I went back to calligraphy. And one day, my stepfather taught me some watercolor. This was one day in the countryside where they have a house. And my mother decided to take everyone to church, and my stepfather and I looked at each other thinking, we're not going to church.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling.
So we sat in the cemetery across from the church.
Yes.
And we painted the church with watercolors. I went back to Paris and bought myself a set of watercolors and paper, and I started frantically painting at that point. And my encounter with a friend of my parents, who I was very close with, one day she said, why don't we do an exhibition together, you and me? In parallel, I was still looking for a job. Remember, I was, kicked out of this place, and I was still looking for a job. Now I had taken up accompagnement pour le retour à l'emploi.
Yes.
And I had this woman who once, I told her, oh, I want to go back and take some classes for watercolor. She said, well, why don't you show me your watercolors? And I said, okay. So next time I came with my watercolors, and she looked at me and she said, Benedicte, you shouldn't be taking classes. You should be giving classes. Wow. You should be teaching, not, being taught. And it was as though she'd put up a mirror in front of me. So, this is when I realized I had to look at myself differently. So what happened was we went along with the exhibition with my friend.
Yes.
And I was attending classes, calligraphy, typography, etc. And creatively, I started mixing my calligraphy with my watercolors. And this is where my personal work stemmed from. I've always loved writing. But very, very early on, I understood that I didn't want, as much as I love calligraphy, the art of beautiful lettering, I didn't want people to read what I was writing. I wanted people to look at what I was doing. And so I started mixing the colors,
Yes.
mixing the writings, and it became an image. I wanted people to look at the image and not to decipher. That, deciphering was besides the point.
Right.
So this is where my art started. And the first exhibition I made in 2004, I really wanted to understand what it was like to hang yourself on a wall, because of course everything I had made was me, my watercolors and my calligraphy.
Was that a scary thing? Because I'm imagining as an artist, you're putting your heart and soul into the eyes of people who are sort of the people that are judging sort of what you did. And with all that work and passion that you put in, were there moments where you're thinking, ooh, I don't know what's going to happen?
It's impressive, but not scary. And I'll tell you why. Because most of the people who accompanied me, who were there for the opening, were my family, were my friends. And okay, it's something to do something in front of your friends and in front of your family versus people you don't know. But they're very, comment on dit, bienveillants. They
mindful.
They care for you.
Yeah.
So it's like you're protected by them. And ever since, I've been very, very attached to having my friends and my family around me whenever I'm having an opening. It's really important.
So it's sort of like a cocoon for you,
Yes.
knowing that
Yes.
this is sort
Yes.
of the protective family
Yep.
that allows you to feel safe
Yes.
and allows you to make decisions that empower you to every project that you sort of invest your heart and soul in,
Yes.
right?
You see, the fact that you put yourself on a wall, it basically you're saying, look at me. Look at what I've done. Which you have to, it's a step. It's a very important step in your transformation. Look at me. And I have to assume what I'm doing. I have to assume that I'm saying, look at me. Look at what I've done. And I was very lucky. I was very fortunate to have these very caring people around me and looking at me with not just care, but encouragement. And a lot of people said to me, wow, we've never seen this before. The mixing of watercolor with writing. And you have to continue that. It's really interesting. And so I was very carried by all this love and care.
It's quite beautiful and almost poetic, Benedicte, because I feel connected to what you're saying, because I think the same thing for me. When I decided to leave Cartier in 2018, I had a big fear line, because to leave this beautiful maison that had supported me and had given me so much, I had a lot of fear, because I was thinking, well, what will people think? And many people were telling me, are you sure you want to do this? Mm-hmm. Are you sure you want to make this leap? So when I hear your story about feeling that comfort of people carrying you and not people judging and trying to say, are you sure you could do this? It didn't seem like you had that experience. You had people that truly believed
Yes.
in all that you are.
Yes.
Did you believe in yourself?
Well, I saw a shrink for many years.
That's always helpful.
It was.
Right.
It was useful.
Yes. And through that process, when you're sort of having that support, did you have that point where you said, you know what? I'm happy with what I've done.
Yes, but I don't know if it was the same for you. There were people on my path. And every time those people were there, I was turning a little bit, a little more. And one day I looked back and I had taken a 90-degree angle. I don't know if you feel that. It didn't happen just like that. It wasn't a drastic change. It happened slowly by doing something that I felt true to. And the day that I was able to travel and in the immigration form write down artist, wow, that was an accomplishment. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, was your change drastic, or was it something that slowly matured?
It's such a good question. Benedict, for me, I think the big turning point was not just the title. It was the first time that I actually got a paycheck for my coaching. I'll never forget that. I remember I called my mother, and I remember saying to her, I said, Mother, you won't believe this. I actually got paid, I think it was at the time, I think it was like for 5 sessions, I got like 500 euros. And I remember thinking, this is incredible. Somebody's paying me for my worth, for what I believe. Well, this is it because
the right word.
Well, this is it because I think I spent many years, including the years at Cartier, not knowing what my worth was, not knowing that I could actually be independent of this institution, knowing and thinking that, oh, I need to work here to get a paycheck. And the moment that whole dynamic changed, where I actually was able to say, this is how much I'm charging for this work, I suddenly felt so much more empowered. Mm-hmm. And that was my aha moment, where I started to realize Charles Bennett coaching could actually go further than I ever expected.
Yes, because you're worth it. Because you're selling your ability, your talent to decipher people. My painting, what I do, my creativity, what I'm able to come up with. Yes, money is very important. It's not the amount, but it's, my first experience with that was I came back one summer from having painted all these watercolors. And I went to see a friend who had a gallery, Place des Vosges. She was an old-time friend. And she looked at my watercolors and she said, oh, wow, they're really beautiful. I like them. Could I buy one? 2, actually. And I'm like, what? You want to buy them? I'm like, okay, but I'm unable to ask for a price. So you decide the price, and it's a friendly price. Okay. So she looked at these watercolors and she chose 2, and she said, I'll pay 25 euros for each. And I said, okay, fine. Of course, they were the most beautiful ones, the ones I would have kept for myself. But that moment was so important because never again was I embarrassed or did I feel sad about parting with a piece of work I'd painted.
It's like taking like one of your children, so to speak. You're
Yes.
giving it.
Parting with something you've done is an important step. Some artists can never sell their work. And that first sale, which happened without me even, planning it, was really important. It was a bit like, couper le cordon.
Yeah.
That was really, she never knew how important that was. She was at the beginning of that, and then when I did that first exhibition, I went and registered at Maison des Artistes and I became a professional, and I've never stopped since. Painting, exhibiting, selling my work.
And that's fascinating because I'm going to go back to the point about pricing and whatever, because I think there is something when you're an artist, how do you come up with the price or the value of what it is? And I feel the same with my services.
Exactly.
Sometimes when a client says, okay, so how much do you charge? I'm like, and you sort of question, well, how do I quantify what it is? Because I know I have an experience, I know I've been working a certain amount of time, but there's sometimes when you're a creative or whatever you are, a professional or an independent, how do you talk about money in a way that still allows you to feel empowered and not feel like you're taking something from someone?
Because you have to feel legitimate.
Yes, that's very true.
And that's a deal that you have to do with yourself.
Yeah.
Am I legitimate to ask for that much money? Yes. And to start with, I think it's interesting to maybe compare yourself with what is, what other people sell their work for, or what other people charge, for coaching. You're not going to ask for 20 euros and you're not going to ask for 500. So there's There must be a price, the right price to charge. But then you have to feel legitimate to ask for it.
Absolutely. And I think that that's really the lesson. I'm sure it's a lesson for many people
Yes.
out there in whether they're negotiating their salary or promotion or what have you. How do you believe in your true legitimacy and the value that you're really offering out there and to believe in it?
Yes,
To really believe
this
in
friend
it.
helped me as well, the same friend. She said, well, you can go by size. Such size is equivalent to so many points. Your point has a value, so many points times the value, and then you add the price of the frame, the price of your taxes, the price of whatever charge, the whatever you have to add, and then you end up with a price. If that to me seems too much or too little, I'll adjust it.
Right.
Then it's my point of view. Then it becomes subjective. But there was a point some years back where a friend of mine said to me, your work, especially these ones, they're not expensive enough. They're not at the right price. And I had to think, okay, what is the right price? Yes. And I did increase those prices. Because you have to look at your value. Once you've been working for 10, 15, 20 years, you're not a beginner. You're an established artist.
Absolutely. And you have to believe and understand that value.
Absolutely.
Understand it and,
Yes.
and be able to communicate it with confidence.
Yes. And if you're not the one who believes in you, who will?
Absolutely. And this is often what I say to my clients, which comes to the question I have for you. As you know, the reinvention journey is never easy, yet I think we as human beings are constantly reinventing ourselves. For you, you've worn many hats. You were saying before, you did modeling, you were working in a photo lab, I think you were saying. Now you're an artist. Why do you think it's so hard for people to accept the choice to pivot and to reinvent?
I would say that in most cases, a lot of people study something to please their parents or to fit in what people expect from you. Your image has to correspond to what your parents think you should be doing or what they see. For myself, I was really good with languages. So when I left my boarding school in England, came to Paris, my parents thought, well, you're good at languages, let's do languages. And I said, yeah, sure, I'm good at languages, why don't I do languages? And I went to Jussieu and I studied English and Spanish, and I just got lost. And I understood that that was not at all what I wanted to do. I didn't like the way they taught the languages. I didn't like what it was. And I started going to drawing classes. And I've always drawn. I've always had pencils, pens in my hand. Loved, even then, calligraphy, my first steps. Drawing since I was a kid. I've always loved it. It was always something I did pretty well.
So it was a part of you. It was a part of your DNA, so
and
to speak.
So all of a sudden, I thought, I would prefer to do this. And my dad was very open-minded, and he says, okay, let's find an art school. And we found an art school, and this is how I went to an art school. And sometimes people might be studying law because their parents think you should be, or look at people who are artists, who are comedians. A lot of cases, parents will say, oh, that's not a job, that's not a...
you can't make money from that.
No.
You're not going to be able to get your benefits.
You should be a lawyer, a doctor,
Yes.
of whatever. So probably, I would say the most important thing to do is think, what is it I like? What is it I love? What is it I'm good at? Ever since I was a kid, what was I good at when I was a child? What are my real competences? What am I good at? What do I love? And
So you-
start from there. And that is like a thread you're going to pull. It's like a pelote de laine.
Yeah. A ball of wool.
Yes.
Yes.
And you're going to pull that thread. The ball of wool is you. And you're going to pull the thread and go down to the core. And the core is who you are. What are you good at? What do you love doing? And I think if you do that, you're true to yourself.
Which is often, I think, the biggest challenge. I think for me, my biggest gift I gave to myself was to choose myself. Hence why when I left the luxury goods sector and went into a sector that was allowing me to showcase my full skill set, I had the mirror in front of myself. And then I said, well, who is Charles Bennett? And I saw who he was. And I think that that's what the reinvention journey is. It's accepting that I had choices. It's knowing that I had something to give and I didn't want to stay behind the curtain, but I wanted to actually give back in a way that was authentic and utilizing all the skills that I had used. Because I think too often we think, oh, I don't know much, or we think, oh, I don't have the skill for this. But the fact is, maybe the whole story and all the experiences that you've had from, I was passing balloons in Central Park. I was a telemarketer. I've done so many different types of jobs. That's why I am where I am today. And that's the beauty of reinvention.
And probably when you were working at Cartier, you already were coaching in your own way. You were probably already turned towards other people, looking at other people. That's how I feel you.
And you're completely right. I think that kind of puts it in a nutshell, the fact that I was looking for the title, but in the end, I was doing the work and doing all of that, embodied that work already. And I think that that's why the decision was, for me, a very easy and smooth transition for myself. So what would you say to the person that's watching us today who perhaps, maybe it's a person who is just beginning in maybe the art world and they're thinking, God, I would love to be an artist. What would you offer them as sort of advice coming from the life experience you've had in this career?
Well, it would depend how young or old the person is. I mean, age has an importance. If you're 18 and you want to study art, or if you're 40 and you want to, stop the career you were doing and want to become an artist, that's more difficult. That's what I did. Or if you've finished your career, you're 60 or 65, and you want to start, being an artist. It's no easy job. It's a very, very difficult job because you have to believe in yourself in a way that you cannot question. You have to question yourself the whole time, but you can't put that into the balance. You can't question yourself as to your art and then say, oh, but maybe I'm not on the right path. Just do it. Just do it. Go ahead. That's what I would say. Then I would have a lot of advice, practical advice, yes. But then we need 2 more hours.
Of course. We could be talking forever because we have so much to share. So my final question I would have for you is, do you think it's harder today for people with AI and all of that going on? Do you think it's a harder endeavor to be in this type of work and still have that success?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't believe so. And I would not want to let AI do my job. It's my personal evolution. Everything I've done is never a copy of someone. It's there, and I can explain why I did that. And I've been on a journey, more than 20 years journey, where I've taken some steps. I've evolved. I've constantly been looking on how to transform my art and still be true to myself. It's my own journey, and no AI is going to do that for me. I don't see the point of that. I can see the point of AI helping me write my bio, yes. But other than that, no. I'm not going to let anything take my hand and paint it for me, or my skills are mine. They're not any machines. And I don't see how a machine can do it for me. Maybe somebody else, if, somebody who's into digital artwork, yes, then that's different. But then they're going to have to learn. It's a tool.
Right.
They can use the tool.
It's not a replacement.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I believe in that
You
as
can
well.
use tools. They're very useful. Every tool is useful. Yeah.
So does reinvention ever die?
No, never, never. And that's the secret of being an artist. Reinvent yourself the whole time. And I think it's David Bowie, I'm sure. David Bowie said, if you're creating and you feel a little too comfortable, you're not in the right place. Take a step further, be uncomfortable, and that's precisely where you have to be in order to be creative.
Benedicte, that's perfect advice for me and for all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. So we're going to do it's quick rapid fire. It's 4 questions.
Okay.
And I have them for you here. As you know, we love to do rapid fire here on Reinvention. So the questions are very easy for you. Your favorite dessert that you can't resist?
I would say, no, there's no dessert I can't resist.
Oh, you can't. Okay, so you're not a dessert. Okay, perfect.
No.
Best thing to do on a date night?
Go out for dinner.
Perfect.
I love food.
Oh, yeah, well, I love it too. Favorite thing to do with your girlfriends when together?
Chat.
The last thing you'd ever want to do on a vacation in Greece?
The last thing?
Yeah, the thing you'd least want to do.
Be on a crowded beach.
I hate those. And the most memorable gift you ever received? Birthday gift.
Birthday gift. Oh, maybe this one. This necklace, which was given to me by my husband for my 50th birthday in New York, my hometown.
That's
He had
beautiful.
surprised me and took me there, and I didn't know I was going to New York.
Well, it's a beautiful piece and it's emblematic, so it marks
Yep.
that moment.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Benedict.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Charles. How about you? What's your favorite dessert?
Dessert
You can't resist.
that I can't resist. It'd probably be tarte tatin because I
Tarte tatin.
love tarte tatin. It's one of those, and I love eating. There's a place on called Petit Fer à Cheval that I go to, and
Oh,
they
ouais.
make the best homemade tarte tatin. So I have it with a little bit of crème, and it's like it's one of the things I'd want to have before if I was going to leave the earth. That would be the last thing I'd want to eat.
Okay.
A nice tarte tatin
Okay.
with a glass of champagne.
Okay. Okay. I'll join you for the champagne.
Ah, you
yeah,
see?
yeah.
So you'd probably be
And
the
maybe
champagne.
Côte de Bœuf.
A coup de bœuf, yes. What cuisson?
Saignant.
Thank you so much, Benedict. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Wonderful.